All right, so I'm going to start our class this now. Um, our virtual tutors training. My name is Esther, and the subject I'll be teaching today is mathematics. So we're going to be having maths class today. So my name is Esther. Sorry for that. And I'm going to teach the subject mathematics. And our topic today is fraction. So we're going to learn what fraction is, the types of fractions, the importance of fraction, why do we need fractions, and many other things. But before we do that, let's do a little deep dive introduction into fraction. So today we're going to learn about fractions, like I've said. So imagine you have a delicious pizza that we cut into pieces, like the picture you see. Imagine each piece is a part of a whole pizza. So if I take out one part, like the part that is removed, that is one part of the pizza. So we can call that a fraction because it's a part of the entire pizza. You just took a part. You could give the remaining part to daddy, to mommy, to your friends. So each of the parts everyone is taking is what we call a fraction. It's a part of the whole pizza. So let's say you have 8 slices and you eat 2 out of them. So out of the 8 slices, you've cut the pizza into 8 slices. 2 out of them that you've eaten is 2 out of 8 parts of the pizza. We can write fraction using numbers like 1 over 2 or 2 over 8, like the pizza. So you ate 2 pizzas out of the entire 8 pizza. So you count what you've eaten all over the amount, how many pizza you've sliced, or how many pizza you have on the table. Throughout this lesson, we'll learn more about fractions, how to write them, how to use them in our everyday lives. We're going to have fun with this topic. Also, think about oranges. I'm very sure you've taken orange before. You know what I mean by orange. You've enjoyed orange. Imagine you have an orange that is cut into 2 equal halves. So let's say mommy helps to cut the orange into 2 equal halves. Each half represents one part of the whole. So let's assume I take one of the orange and I give you one of the orange. So I have 1 out of the 2 oranges that the 2 orange parts. These are what examples of fractions. So you have eaten 1 out of the 2 parts of the oranges. What is fraction? So now you have an idea of what fraction is about, but what exactly is fraction? We're going to learn what is fraction. A fraction is a part of a whole. A fraction is what? A part of a whole. Remember in the orange, when I talked about the orange, if you eat 1 half, you've eaten 1 out of 2. So that will be 1 over 2. So if I say, what's the fraction of what you've eaten? It will be 1 over 2 because what? You only took 1 out of the 2 oranges. That one is a part of the entire orange. Is that the complete orange? No, it's just a part. So always put in mind the key point here is parts. A fraction is what? Is a part. It's not the complete orange, it's not the complete pizza, it's just a part of it. A part of a pizza, a part of a body, a part of a food, a part of anything. Okay? So a fraction is a part of a whole. Now I'm going to talk about the types of fractions. Basically, we have what we call proper fractions. Proper fractions, examples of proper fractions are fractions whereby the first value or the first number is smaller than the second. E.g., we have 1 over 4, we have 3 over 8. I can give you another example. We have 2 over 8. Remember our pizza? 2 all over 8. You took 2 pizzas out of the pizza pack. So that's 2 over 8. Why is it a proper fraction? Because the first value, the first number, the first figure, the first digit was smaller than the entire whole. So proper fractions are always have the smaller digits first before the bigger digits. So if proper fractions have the smaller digit or the smaller figures smaller than the second figure, the improper fraction is what? The opposite, meaning improper fractions have the numerators greater than the denominators. For example, e.g., we have 7 over 4, we have 3 over 1, we have 2 over 1, we have 5 over 2. Just name it, can call any number as long as that number is greater than the denominator. The value at the top is greater, is bigger, is higher than the value down. Okay, so characteristics of fractions. How do you know this is fraction? When I write something on the board or when you see something, how do you know that this is a fraction? So characteristics of fraction, number one, we have the numerator. We call it the numerator, the number at the top. You know, I made emphasis to the numerator. I made emphasis to proper fractions. So the numerator, the number at the top. If 2 is at the top, 2 is the numerator. So 2 over 4, 2 is the numerator because what? It's the number at the top. If I give example 5 over 10, 5 is the numerator because 5 is the number at the top. Another good example is 1 over 2. 1 over 2, 1 is the numerator. Why? Because it's the number at the top. So the number at the top is what we call the numerator. So we also have the sign that separates the numbers. That's the over sign, the division sign, the divide sign. It always comes in the form of a minus sign. So 1 over 2, 5 over 8, 3 over 6, 1 over 4, 5 over 8, 5 over 10. Just that over sign. So when you write something like, let me give a good example. The proper fractions and improper fractions, 1 slash 4, 3 slash 8. This is what the division, the fraction sign. Okay, so that is what we mean by the sign that separates the numbers. Then we have the denominator. Denominator. We talk about the numerator as the number at the top. The denominator are the numbers at the bottom. The numbers at the bottom. So how do we do it? Mostly the numbers at the bottom are the numbers we call last. For example, 2 over 5. 5 is the what? 5 is the denominator. Why? Because it's the last number. The number at the bottom, the number we call last. Is that okay? 5 over 6. 6 is the denominator because it's the number we called last, is the number at the bottom. There are so many other examples. I would like you to give me some examples about the denominator. Numbers at the bottom. 1 over 8. 8 is the denominator because it's the number at the bottom. Why is it the number at the bottom? Why is it the denominator? Because it's the number what's at the bottom. Very good. Are you getting? Do you understand? Now we're going to go to the importance of fractions. When we talk about importance, why do we need fractions? Why is it good for us to know what fractions are? Why do I need to understand fraction? How relevant is it to what I do? So fractions are used in everyday life. What we do, we use fractions for a lot of things. Number one, to measure ingredients for cooking. For example, a very good example is when mommy's trying to cook, she's trying to bake cake, for example. We measure the flour. You can say, okay, we need 5 cups, 1.5 teaspoon of sugar, 50 grams of egg. So the reason for knowing fractions is you could be able to estimate, what the measurement is in cooking or baking or doing anything that has to do with food, because food requires measurement. So you'll be able to measure ingredients. Secondly, you could divide your toys or candies or food among your friends. Take, for example, the pizza. Let's go back to the pizza. Imagine this pizza was to be shared by with your friends. We have you've taken your own first bite. We have one, two, three, four, five, six. 6 more to go. You could share this. If I say, oh, if I tell you now, please take 2/3 or 2/3 or 1/7 of this pizza and keep in the fridge. You'll be able to understand what I'm saying because you understand what fraction. So knowing fraction helps you to do what? To be able to divide things properly and also understand time. It's also relevant to understand time because I could say something like 8:30, 3:45, So those kind of things. Knowing fraction will also help you to be able to understand time as well, to know what the time says at some point, you know. So now I'm going to give you some practice exercises. Activity one, I would like you to shade fractions of shapes. So we're going to have a circle. You're going to draw a circle and give me, 1/2, one at the top. One is the numerator, two is the what? Denominator, and then we have the division sign in between. You're going to shade the fraction of shape. So 1/2, the numerator, you count how many? 1/2, you're going to shade 1 out of the 2. Then a rectangle, you draw a rectangle and shade 3 out of 4 boxes. You're shading 3 out of 4 boxes. Activity 2, draw and shade the fraction for 2/4 of a pizza. So with me, you're going to draw a circle and divide it into 4 and shade 2. 1/2 of a cake. You're going to draw me a cake and do the same. And then I have the assignments for you. You're going to write 5 examples of fractions in your notebook. Just give me examples of any fraction you can think of. You know the characteristic of fractions, you know what fractions are. So give me examples, concrete examples. I need 5. This assignment is very simple. I also like you to draw 3/4 and label the numerator and the denominator. So you write 3 all over 4. What is 3? What does 3 represent? What does 4 represent? Okay, I would like that to be labeled, and that's all. Do have a great day. Thank you.